WHPR TV is now on demand. Catch us when you want, how you want, where you want. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Watch your favorite TV shows on demand. And be sure to download the WHPR app. We're now on demand at your demand. WHPR TV Detroit On Demand.com, a Watkins Broadcasting Company.
And that's University of Detroit Mercy, 1-800-978-9596, and that is for speed reading programs for children and
adults. Grown-ups need to learn how to speed read also. You can use it anytime. It increases your ability to read a complete article and accomplish a lot in a short time.
Understand what you read.
Yeah,
that's what
it's
reading
a technique.
is all about.
Yeah, it is.
You understand and be able to react on what you have read.
Like anything else, we need to plan and organize what we're looking for, or any test that we intend to take, and that's what this does. It gives us techniques we can use to read quickly, fastly, and accomplish a lot in a short time.
And parents, like I was telling my students over at the library center on Thursday, or actually on Tuesday. I want to see their report cards.
Okay.
I told them bring their report cards, because this is what Barbara Herard Research Service Center is to make your grades, move up, come up.
It tells the world what you've accomplished for that school year, and it tells people about you. People look at your spelling, your reading, and your mathematics and science. It tells what you know. What the test says you know. Now, you might know a little more, but because some people don't take tests very well, but still, it gives them a snapshot of who you are and what you know.
We still want to know why.
Yes.
As teachers, as educators, that's what summer programs are all about, at least with us. If it's an academic program, we can take you where you left off. If you didn't get a grade that you knew you should have gotten in math or reading or science or social studies, we will work with you during the summer to bring that up.
It also should be noted, Mr. Rod, that every child, every student should strive for A, no less than a B.
Oh, definitely.
If you're making C's and D's, obviously you're not doing as good as you need to do, and that's the reason why people make C's and D's do not get the opportunity to be supervisors or to go to grad school or to be chosen as leaders, because that's not the best. You want to be the best. In order to be the best is make A's, no less than B's, and anybody who don't make those grades are not, they're just plain average. They're not the best. So all of us need to try to strive for the best.
We don't want anybody in Detroit left behind. You can do this. You can make the grade, even if you don't have the money. I was talking to a young student, actually she's in high school, I think 9th or 10th grade last week, and I was asking her about her grades, and she said, well, Mr. Rod, they're not really what they ought to be, but I need to work this summer.
Yes.
And I said, well, I understand that, for her family situation. And so I actually pointed out, one of these programs at University of Detroit Mercy, and also I know they have them at Marygrove College. I said, use some of your summer money to better yourself. Go to one of these programs, fit it into your schedule, and I do believe they have programs on Saturdays. So if you're a young person working during the week, we don't want to discourage anybody from working, whenever you can. But fit education into into your schedule. We do know that everybody knows the chaos that our Detroit public schools have gone through this year. Charter schools have gone through. We want to help solve the problem.
We must remember that what you know determines where you go, and the more you know, the more places you can go.
So young people, you got to be proactive. Even though if you missed out during the school year, when you missed out, your grades are not what they ought to be. don't blame it on the teacher. Don't blame it on school. Go get help.
Well, stop trying to blame. Just find the weakness of the problem and solve the problem or improve the
Go
weakness.
get
That's the
help.
objective.
Go get help. Also, another wonderful thing that you can do this summer, of course, is go down to the right museum. Take your family or teenagers, young people, with chaperone. It's a wonderful place to go to get educated about your heritage, and go down there and for education. Learn about you know um, Africa and all of the great leaders and
Yes.
kings,
You know what? Many of
queens.
us have lived in the city of Detroit and we haven't visited all the great sites and historic locations here in the city. Why should you live someplace and don't know what's there? All of us need to be familiar with where we live and what exists in the place that we live.
It's a wonderful, wonderful place, and it's beautiful. Also, you may call for group tour information 313-494-5801, or for yourself on every second Sunday. Bush is free.
I'd like to note this, Mr. Roy. We don't, many of us, and I realize that I did not know that there's some really great builders in the city. I was reading the newspaper last week, and this cathedral that's located in 1945 over there off of Webb. That's the street Webb. And it's a huge, gigantic cathedral that was built in the 1800s. And I had to go see it, take a look and drive by that place. And I was shocked at the size of it, Mr. Rod. And I was reading, and I think I shared it with you. Someone in New York, not one of us, bought this huge, great artistic building, and it's historic also, for just $6,700.
Right.
And I was reading also that since they bought it, and that was several months ago, they have invested $250,000 in this building. Now, they bought a gigantic building that sits on a site of about 2.5 acres. Now, in the city, people, you pay more of that for the car that you ride in, even that antique. And I was shocked. I said, have mercy, Jesus. That person was fortunate, and they knew they were. They realized this building was a great metropolis and it's a collector's item, and they were going to use it. They was an art collector, and they're going to use it to show art in that building. I said,
That's a
wow.
wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Bring art, back to our community. Bring culture, and I read also that that building is going to be or is a art gallery.
Yes, that's what they're supposed to do with it. And we don't realize, many of us, what great buildings,
What
great structures
jewels.
that exist in our city. We'll be shocked if we realize what is here.
And I hope some of them, the beautiful buildings are preserved. In fact, I was talking to someone downtown yesterday about that old Wayne County building, which is another beautiful building. I know the
Historic site also.
commissioners have moved, to another site, but that's a wonderful,
It
wonderful
is.
place.
It's
You
artistic,
know, and
architectural
people
site.
people from outside of Detroit realize the value
They do.
of these beautiful antique buildings. They're coming in, scooping them up for little or nothing. Some investors have come in and they're buying these buildings
They
and
sure
turning
are.
them into nightclubs or, whatever, that they can make money off of. So, Detroit, we need to wake up, protect our jewels, protect
We
what we have.
we don't value what we have here in Detroit. Many of us don't. You know, land is expensive, and people are buying it at rock bottom low prices here. Even the people from Japan and China,
All over.
all over.
And just speaking of that, Reverend Bush, there it seems to be, I guess, a crisis in the housing market, and I say
Okay.
crisis, a scare. They have these investors, like you said, coming from all over the world who know the value
Of land
of
and
land.
pieces of property and
Exactly.
buildings.
And you know what they're doing? They are buying up these properties. They're putting scare signs
Scare?
scare signs on the telephone poles. I say scary signs.
Okay.
That scare stable communities. People who maybe keeping their property, older people for their family, like everybody does want to pass it
Yeah.
down. These people are coming along, want to sell, buy your property for little or nothing.
Yes.
Get you out there, no telling where you're going to end up, and property in the suburban areas are higher. So you have to be very, very careful when these shysters come along and put these signs up saying cash, we buy now,
Yes.
and all of those things. So
Yes.
talk to somebody before you make those big moves.
Yes, many of us, we have inheritance problems, ancestral problems that has good value, and we don't realize the value of this inheritance is. So you need to ask somebody, do some
Property
research.
values in Detroit are going back up. I know I've had many offers, people knocking on the door, even in my home, in my neighborhood.
Yes.
You want to sell your house. Why do I want to sell my house? That wasn't really on my mind.
Well,
But people are trying to get your property, Detroit,
yeah.
for little or nothing. So you got to outsmart them. Be very smart. Hold on to what you have.
I've toured and visited many cities, Mr. Rod, and Detroit has some unique neighborhoods and some valuable property all over this city. It's a gigantic city. If you compare it to many other cities,
Definitely.
most don't have the size, the area that we have here in the city of Detroit. It's a gigantic area. Some states is not much larger than this city. Anyway, and so it's so vast, and within this
And
vast
very
area,
valuable.
there's some unique communities and homes that you never thought that could exist in this great city.
And black people still own them.
Yeah, how about
also.
that? You people who look like you and I
Own
possess
them.
some historic property
Valuable
homes,
property.
and you should hold on to it any way you can.
And that's far east side, as well as the west side.
Yes.
People are trying to get what you have.
Yes,
And,
they are coming back. In fact, they have arrived and they're taking what you thought was yours. Have mercy.
Or you thought, or maybe the media told you, your property wasn't this and wasn't valuable, and Detroit's going down. No. You go downtown Detroit, it's say this time of day, every day, lunchtime. You see Detroit streets, Woodward, Cass, second and third, filled with people going to lunch that don't look like us. I mean, thousands of people.
You know what?
Okay.
While we're talking about the city, Miss Roy, let's consider our jewels, one of the greatest jewels in the city, our Belle Isle, our picnic, little park within the city
Now
on
that
a
is
lake.
coming
Have
back.
mercy, on a gigantic
That
lake.
is coming
Have
back.
mercy. And we took a tour, you and I, just last week, and we
Just
went to
to
places
look.
that we hadn't seen before,
look.
or noticed that great improvements have been made since the state took it over, because we really didn't do a good job of maintaining that facility. And I blame
When
the
we
leadership
had it.
here
When we had
and the political leadership here in the city of Detroit. We just let that place run down, y'all. We should have given it up a long time ago, talking about we weren't going to charge nobody to come in that city,
Well, we
come over
pay
there in that
now.
park. And guess what? The people that coming in there, they didn't get a good hot chocolate about it, and they was tearing it up, dogging it out, turning it into ghetto, the worst in the ghetto. So, I'm glad somebody took it over and made it better, did a lot better than what we did when we had it.
And we have to pay to go to
Ain't nothing's free in life.
to Belle Isle now,
Have mercy.
and that's all right. And
It's worth the price.
I see everybody that doesn't look like us, and that's a good thing, because Belle Isle is clean. You don't see all of those illicit things going on.
Amen.
You
Sure
know,
don't.
it's family friendly.
Yeah. It's
You
being
know.
the grass is being mowed, the buildings are being maintained.
The
You can even
bathrooms.
use the bathrooms when you go out there. We used to a few years ago, before the state took over, you go out there and couldn't even
wouldn't
go to a
wanna go.
bathroom, couldn't find one. Have mercy,
really
Jesus,
wouldn't
because
wanna go.
most of them didn't work. and we were running it. We ran it in the ground. We got to blame those leaders because sometimes we got to get help or help ourselves, and we don't do enough of that sometimes. We got to do better.
Well, I want to commend, the state for, the good job they're
Making
doing.
the change, doing
Yeah,
what we didn't
you
do and
got to
couldn't
give
do.
credit where credit is due.
Yeah, it's better. I enjoy. I go out to bail out every chance I get right now to appreciate the beauty and all the progress that's been made
It's
since the
lovely.
state took it
People
over.
fishing,
We got to call Mr. Roy. Let him talk about what's happening here in the city. Caller, you on the air. Tell us what you're thinking. Come on, caller, you on the
Hello?
air.
Hello?
Yes.
Speak up.
Yes. I'm so glad to hear you make that statement because I used to say the same thing and people used to get upset.
Yes.
What statement, ma'am?
With the statement he just made about Belle Isle,
Oh,
Yes.
I
okay.
remember how filthy it used to
Oh,
be.
It
I
yeah.
used to be
was.
scared to walk my dog on Belle Isle.
Amen.
Definitely. Definitely.
We
And when we did have it, they didn't take care of it. They didn't appreciate
no,
it.
we didn't.
Thank you for making that statement and have a
Amen.
blessed
You
day.
too,
Thank you.
ma'am.
You too. Okay. As we said in the beginning of the broadcast, there's so many things going on in our city. We do want to send out condolences uh, to the family of Gordie Howe, who was a legend in our community. He played with the Red Wings over there at Joe Louis Arena and actually played 2,421 games with the Red Wings from 1946 to 1971. And he led them even in those Stanley Cup awards in 1950, 52, 54 through 55. And his children and family wanted him to, be in repose at Joe Louis Arena because he was a people person. The people loved him. The fans loved him. And hockey fans, as well as all of us in our city of Detroit, will truly miss this great man, this great athlete, this man of Detroit. And God bless his family.
Mr. Rod, I'd like to share with the viewing audience one of the things our mayor Duggan did over there at the Mackinac Island retreat that all the great leaders here in the city and the state and the regional area here in the state of Michigan, they meet over there at Mackinac once a year, every year, to talk about, what needs to be done and plan the future. Anyhow, he was saying some good things and bad things, and he was challenging the leadership there in Lansing, both the governor and the legislature, to do more relative to the schools. But he just didn't talk about the schools. He talked about, the property and what's happening with it. I didn't realize, but he informed the gathering that there's 380,000 parcels of land in the city of Detroit. And of that 380,000, the land bank, which is, ran by the city, owns 100,000 of them. And almost a third, yeah. And the rest, almost a third of the city, 70,000 are vacant of these 380,000 parcels. 30,000 of the parcels have houses on them. And he just talked about the need to do something different. He said that think about the 30,000 that the city owns, 5,000 there's somebody in them. Now, so we got, have mercy, Jesus. You got squatters in 5,000 of the places that of
Did you know that,
the land
Detroit?
that the houses that the city owns.
People there that not
Well,
even
at
supposed to
least
be there.
it's some maintenance, somebody checking it out
I
because
think we saw some of those
it
squatters
get
last
it
week
get ripped off,
in our tour.
or whatever. So somebody's maintaining those 5,000 of the 30,000 that the city owns, and 20,000. They've demolished 20,000. So we had a lot more than 380,000. Well, that's the parcel, but that doesn't include the land. On these parcels, you got so many houses, of course, and he didn't necessarily identify that, but he did note that during his tenure, they've demolished approximately 20,000 of the houses that were on these
Okay.
parcels. And he was
A
talking.
lot of value there. It's good investment property if, in fact, that you have the funds to invest.
He
Pass it down.
he also noted to the gathering that, and I'm gonna use quote his words. He said, "We, the leadership of Detroit, would want to build a city where every section of the city is open to everybody. That's what Detroit's about." I'm gonna quote his words. Here's the commitment of the Detroit City Council and himself have made. Any housing development in the Detroit city that has the support of the city should have a minimum of 20% of the occupants is going for affordable, legally set aside people with lower income. So he's saying that, and I support that, that all these new buildings, and they're renovating a lot of these structures.
Especially downtown.
If it's got government money, tax money,
Especially
have mercy.
downtown.
You want them to set aside 20% of those apartments or the occupancies for low income people,
And
so they would have access to the use of those buildings that are being
speaking of
renovated by
that,
the
Reverend
public money.
Bush,
Uh,
students are low income. A lot of young people are still, just getting out of college and actually still kind of climbing up the ladder, low income. But what I see downtown Detroit, in a lot of these low subsidized buildings, many young people that don't look like us. And Detroit, you need to wake up and tell your young people coming out of school, they can maybe save money by getting involved. Get one of these low income apartments that I see everybody else getting. Okay, so these are just some little tips. Um, we don't see thousands of you downtown Detroit taking advantage of all of the wonderful sites.
he,
Uh, Second Baptist Church and all of those beautiful sites, Greektown. We see everybody else down.
During his speech, Mr. Roy, he also noted some other things also, and I like to identify those. He said, since, have mercy, the state took over our school system, he pointed out that they have created a $650 million deficit that accrued under the watch of the state, which took over our city, okay? Now, he said, let's look at the numbers. And he pointed to a chart and demonstrated how the deficit has grown over the past 7 years under the emergency management. He said, if any city in Michigan ran up these deficits in 7 years, what would happen? They appointed an emergency manager. Hey, but this was the record that was established by the state running our system.
Okay,
You
wonderful.
know, he said the charter schools, and he pointed out some things, Mr. Rod. Check this out. He said the charter schools, he said, I love the ones that are doing well, but they're getting $1 billion in public tax dollars. And I've been talked about that. Have mercy. You remember I talked about how we paying
Right.
for private
We talk about that every
teaching?
week.
He said, you were saying you're going to give me $1 billion in government money and then butt out and let the free market do it? What free market? And he's right. Ain't no free market because
Okay.
they use public money to do private education. Have mercy. If you're going to do private education, you ought to put up their own money. But they didn't. They took our money, our tax dollars, folks.
And our kids.
Our tax dollars. And they're not doing a good job of spending our tax dollars, folks. We better wake up. And we're not raising enough sand. We're not boycotting enough. We're not protesting enough. Just think, if them other folks who don't look like us, if somebody wasted that much
Well,
money or their money on their kids,
um,
guess what? You'll have an uprising in this state.
I
So
guess.
we don't do it. I'm not saying we ought to have an uprising, but at least we ought to let people know that they messing up with our money, and we're
Well,
not doing enough of that, Mr. Roy.
we in Detroit seem to take what we have very lightly or what we had when we lost affirmative action. I could not believe that because, and what this is at least 10 years ago, we did not fight for the benefits that our young people had in education and women, for work and those kinds of things. And now we don't have them. And our young people are suffering.
Check this out, Mr. Rod. Also, he said that in his closing remarks, He said 8% of the schools in the city of Detroit today has opened or closed in the last 7 years. Have mercy. And if it was your school district and 8% of your schools open and closed in the last 7 years, how angry would you be? Should you care any less that it happened in the city of Detroit? They doing it to us, y'all. They not doing it to themselves. So Mr. Rod and myself had pointed out how they are destroying our
Well,
system.
actually,
And look how much money they spend. I didn't
actually,
realize they spent $1 billion, Mr.
it's
Rod.
it's a war.
Wasted our money. Have mercy. Federal money.
I read
doing private things.
an article this week in the Michigan Chronicle, uh, a woman who's saying that we should take education seriously.
We should.
They did it back in slavery. Harriet Tubman, she held the gun on runaways, slaves, to make them read if she was going to help them. And, we're almost back to that point. Other people are saying that education isn't important, and even in some schools, they're not giving our young people what they have, what they need to compete.
You know what, Mr. Roy? I note that also. But check this out, Mr. Roy. Our governor, who spoke at the same conference, at Mackinac Conference, which is annual conference, of course, everybody. Now, he wants to get credit for all the great things that happened to the city of Detroit as relative to progress being made. But just think, if the Democratic leadership, including the president and Congress, in Washington had not made a decision to rescue General Motors and Chrysler and the auto suppliers, we wouldn't have mercy. We wouldn't have those companies in existence.
Well,
they said,
that was
let it go down, let it fail,
that
let
was
it fail.
because of
The
our
Republican group leadership said, let it fail, let them fail, let them fail, let them fail.
Yeah, that was
And our
because
President Obama and the Democratic
our
Congress said,
first
no, we don't want to let
African
none of
president.
our automotive industry fail
This
because they
is
founded the
because
automotive industry in the world. He said, we're going to
President
save them.
Barack Obama.
Amen.
He's the one who
They saved Detroit, too. He saved Detroit.
Saved America.
Who's giving him credit? They got this old guy here and these people over there in Lansing trying to get credit for what? The Democrats in Washington, D.C., under the leadership of our President Barack Obama and Pulaski. She was the House, the Speaker of the House from California. They got together and led this country and saved our automobile industry. I thank God for the President Obama, and I thank God for the Democratic leadership in 08 and 09 to save the automobile industry and save Detroit.
Also,
Save us.
Before, because our time is really fleeting,
Okay.
we did want to mention a very, very well-known another person, a woman who passed away this past week. Marjorie Fisher died at the age of 92. She was the wife of billionaire philanthropist
Yes, she was.
Max Fisher, and the Fishers donated monies to build up the quality of life.
They were art collectors, by the way.
People of Detroit. They gave money
The DIA,
for many
Detroit
causes
Institute of Arts, the
here in Detroit.
the symphony, all of those great causes.
Actually, I was privileged actually to attend the funeral services of Max Fisher.
Yeah, the husband.
A few years ago,
Amen.
as I was working for Congressman John Conyers.
He's a great financier.
And I think I mentioned it to you, Reverend Bush. There were not too many people there to look like us.
Hey, ain't too many. Didn't too many people know him. Hammers. Not to look like us.
The former mayor Kwame was there. His mother was there.
Yes.
And our great lawyer was there. But that and myself.
Yeah, you were there with the congressman. Were you representing?
I was representing at that time, and it was a beautiful sight to see how people, love Detroit. No matter what color, people still love our great city. This is an announcement, I guess, for young ladies out there who think they have what it takes. The Lions announced Monday they will have a cheerleading squad this fall. So if you think you got it going on, for the first time in modern history, the all-female squad will hold tryouts this month, ladies. So if your young woman is working or in school, let them know that they can go downtown and try out to be a cheerleader for the Lions, and they will be seen September 18th at the home opener against Tennessee Titans.
Mr. Roy, let's talk about this killing that
Oh
happened
yes,
and
definitely.
and why and everybody should have a AR-15 assault rifle. That's what it stands for in their home. Come on now. Who you target shooting? You're not in a war. You're not in Vietnam or the Gulf, fighting the Gulf War, Desert Storm, or any other war. Now, why do you need assault rifle, AR-15, in your home? What you gonna be shooting at? You're gonna be shooting at other human beings. Have mercy, killing them like
Well,
that
to be
killer
sure,
did in Florida, down in Florida,
to be
just a couple
sure,
of days
you
ago.
know,
Come on, have mercy.
we feel angry. We
That's
feel
sad.
sad that this person, this racist person, would
He was
take it
sick. He
upon
was sick.
mentally ill. I'm sure, and that's the problem because these mentally deranged people are allowed to
Anybody could buy an
buy a
assault
gun.
rifle,
What about
AK-47,
gun control?
all that crazy stuff. Now,
But
why is that so?
we're
Why
not.
should we have a right to buy that kind of firearm? Something's wrong with that picture. And I can't understand why the National Association, National Rifle Association, is supporting something crazy like that. They got to be sick too. And guess what? Our candidate for president, what's his name? Donald Trump. He's agreeing with him. Now
We
that's
don't.
sick.
We definitely
Come
don't.
on now, why you gonna buy a gun to kill
And
people
the
and not have
president
mercy?
is not for it.
What you don't need
People
that.
going around
Anybody can own that crazy gun.
inciting the American public. We are Democratic. We do not
We
stand
believe in
on.
God, Mr. Roy.
We do not stand
Thou
on
shalt not kill,
uh,
Mr. Roy.
killing anyone uh, because of race, because of religion. This
Have
is what
mercy.
the United States is built on. But we are not
We don't
going
stand for that anymore,
to
Mr. Roy.
live
We
in
have changed.
fear.
This country's been
We're not
led by the
living in
devil
fear.
instead by God right now. Something's wrong with that picture.
We do not go along with that horrible thing that happened in Orlando to LGBT, lesbian, gays, bisexuals, and trans
Well,
transvestites. Okay.
well,
We do not go along with that.
that's
Uh,
what people. Somebody who's converted. They start at one. Have mercy. One sex and end up another one. Have mercy. They
yeah,
they
we
took
can
operation and converted from
we can only
one sex to another.
we can only pray for these people. President um, Obama
Transvestite. That's what
ha-
they call it, Mr. Roy.
has been. It is being pointed out in an article by Rochelle Riley, and I thought that was a very good article that she wrote. She's asking the president, to save America with the executive power, to take rifles, assault rifles, away from these mentally
The
deranged people
killers. They killers. They
by an
killers. That's what
executive
they are, Mr.
order.
Roy. They killers.
Uh, since he's been in office, at least 200 people have been killed, shot down, babies in Sandy Hook, classrooms, students at different universities across the country, Charleston, South Carolina, the churches, theaters, by misguided people. And
Sad.
now this Pulse nightclub, which LGBT people were there enjoying themselves
It's happening in America.
out for an evening, and 49 people killed in Orlando
Setting
this
records.
week. And it was just very, very sad.
Too much
You know,
killing. Too much
mothers
killing, Mr. Roy.
and families crying. We don't have the right to say who people should love or not love. That's not your call.
But
You know.
Mr. Roy, look at what's happening in urban America every day, every weekend. Same kind of killing if you add them up. Why? This killing must stop, folks.
And to me,
We must force our Republican-controlled Congress to make a change. They
To
got to
me,
do better.
to me, even if it's happening one by one here in our city of Detroit or surrounding areas, to me that's terror.
Why not start a whiting
That's
campaign,
terror.
Mr. Roy,
You
and
know,
write
you're
every
killing
Congress?
babies that are sleeping in their cribs or shooting people in their homes or just going down the street with a gun here in Detroit. That is terror, okay?
It really is.
So you need to stop that. We as black Americans that are doing that, young, old, or in between that are carrying guns, you should value life.
That's mental sickness.
it
It's
really
a
is.
mental disease.
It really
You
is.
want to kill somebody. It's not normal to kill another human being.
It really isn't. And there was another good article that I read in the Chronicle this week, Reverend Bush, by the former police captain who was talking actually about mental illness, in our city, which is going rapid, violence and mental illness, a combustible
They go hand in
mix.
hand, Mr. Roy.
And it goes
They really
along
do.
with poverty.
Well-
A lot of us wonder, well, why are people doing this? We understand the cause, but the
Well-
only thing we can do when we're on the air is please pray and tell you to stop terrorizing the people in our cities, the families in our city, the children in our cities. Stop. We know that it's not easy here in our city.
There's a lot of
Many
built-up
issues.
anger, Mr. Roy.
Yes.
And these young black men need to do something, exercise, a mental exercise and physical exercise to release this anger. One, they need to talk it out. Other times they need to work it out physically. Physical activity and mental activity releases that anger. So you won't react and let it build up and burst and blow up like a bomb one day and you end up killing someone. That's the wrong way to release
we realize that, you need training programs. We realize that you need to be trained to do something to take care of yourself. We understand that you have families, be you married or not, you still have families and you have the same wants and desires as everybody else, maybe that has a good education. And so you fall into, be it drugs and alcohol. The article said many of these people in Detroit are trying to self-medicate themselves by using, marijuana or alcohol. And so therefore you're out there on the street with a gun, which you shouldn't even have, and just shooting people.
Mr. Roy, just
That's mental illness.
think about just a week ago. You and I were riding down the streets in our city, and this was a mixed neighborhood, but it was a changing neighborhood, Mr. Roy. You remember? And they had this group of black young men,
One woman.
and it was about, 10 or 15, somewhere between that number. And I asked myself, what they doing? Why they doing what they're doing? They weren't working. They were just hanging out. And I pull over and stop in the middle of the crowd and say, what's happening, guys?
But
and started a
It's
conversation
not that they didn't want to work.
and tried to get their attention. And I did a good job of relating to them, but I told them they need to do better. They need education. They need to redirect their energy and mind to something positive instead of something negative.
Well-
Guess what? They were smoking and drinking and stinking.
Like I said,
Have mercy,
like
Jesus.
I said, alcohol or weed. And many times people get so stuck into the mire
They get
of
a rut,
not
Mr. Rod. They get in a rut.
right doing. They can't really help themselves, and
Have
these are some of the
mercy.
social problems.
We got to intervene, y'all. We got to intervene.
some of the social
They
problems
need help. They're
of
crying out
poverty,
for help.
of poverty that we find ourselves in. At least you can go to church if you can't
Yeah.
do anything else about it.
More preachers need to come out of that pulpit and walk the streets of the
to get
neighborhoods
your mind
and reach our
elevated.
kids, reach our young folks, reach the folks that are in need. Do that Jesus walk, folks. We got to start doing that Jesus walked. You say you're a Christian? Well, do what Christ did. Walk the streets, touch the folks, the least of us who need help.
Go there so you can get some help to turn your life around. There is help, but you have to ask for it. You can't just keep saying, well, woe is me, and drowning your sorrows in weed and alcohol. You can't even get a job, any type of job. You can't even get in a program if you're tested
Have mercy.
for substance abuse.
And we let the Green Cross buildings open up in
We
our
needed that,
neighborhood.
like we needed a
Have
hole in
mercy,
the head,
Jesus. How
with
you
all
gonna
the
get a
other
job
problems.
when they test and they find out you doing marijuana, you doing weed, you doing that
can't.
crazy stuff?
can't.
You'll never get a job because that's
can't.
one of the first tests they give you. That have mercy, the test that check to see whether you smoking some weed or
And
whatever
you know
that other
what?
stanky stuff.
And it's not even, those people that are caught in the downtrodden poverty in our city. It's many times those young people or people who have arrived, so to speak.
You even got
and
professional people doing weed
take-
and cocaine.
they-
Have mercy.
they
Lawyers
take-
and doctors.
alcohol. They take
Gotta
these
give it up.
tests, city tests for to become a fireman or become a policeman. And if you are tested with drugs, you cannot work for the
You
city.
lose your job, and if you
can't
don't
work
have a
in
job,
any city.
you don't get the job.
They don't tell you that. Like the article said, you go around self-medicating, trying to forget.
Have mercy.
The state you're in. You cannot forget that. Do something about it. Pick yourself up. Like I said,
You have a
right
problem.
now, you can go to somebody's church.
It's depression, Mr. Roy. They're depressed.
Go to your worker. You
Go
can't
to
go
church
to
and
church.
talk to God. Go to prayer, God in prayer. You got to
Get
go
in
and
a
seek the help
mentoring
you
group.
This is the real Campu, keeping all my people unified. Please be sure to download my album, Campu, Birth of a New Nation, and my 2 latest hit singles, My People Rise and Be Good to Us, with voiceover skits, with inspirational poetry, hip-hop, and harmony.
Download your MP3 single copy of My People Rise and Be Good to Us with voiceover skits, or the album Birth of a New Nation, all available on iTunes, Amazon, and other online stores.
Don't forget, Birth of a New Nation by Campu.
We want to make sure that our students are well-rounded in a variety of career and academic programs. We are moving towards the career technical education field.
So there's a lot of opportunities in career programs in a field where they get certifiable skills.
Students can save time and money while earning a bachelor's degree right here at the University Center.
We're here to walk students every step of the way, from applications to scholarships to course selection.
And then go further beyond that and take master level classes.
It's a brand new Wayne County Community College district.
We're here to stay.